a lot of you have new headphones or new speakers or speakers for the first time in your lives, and your neighbors are really happy about that. And the police department that's gonna visit in a week or so is also gonna be extremely excited to see your new near-field monitors. But what is happening is that we have these moment in time. I don't know what you think. Maybe not. I know Martin hasn't changed his monitors, for example. I mean, maybe you did. I don't know, but I don't think you did. But there's a lot of people that I know, and I have a piano student of mine as well from Italy, and he's getting new monitors as well, and he's kind of pushing himself to be more on the loudspeaker side than headphones. Okay, headphones are convenient, headphones are something we love, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. But there's a lot of you who are, I read these going back or exploring the loudspeaker situation. Okay, and Martin says, I have the VSX headphones and the Moto M2 combined with the MTM speakers. Right, I remember now, you have MTMs. So you have your system as well, right? You have headphones, you have speakers. A lot of people I know are actually in a moment in which they're evaluating loudspeakers again. And I'm saying again because Mike has been on headphones for pretty much all of his life, except for some M audios, which I actually had in LA as well, the BX5s, the tiny ones, and just to study piano and keyboards. And other people I know professionally are looking for near fields or mid fields for their rooms. Okay, I told you some time ago that some studios, some audio rooms that were being used for video game making have been decommissioned in Milano for companies, video game companies that are very big. They put it on to more of a financial business role. There's human resources, that stuff. They're no longer being used in those studios for audio. So a lot of the people I knew that were here gravitating towards Munich or Milano started working on their music at home. And this is something that started at about 2023 and got completed at the end of last year. Okay. Then we have tons of new rooms or studios that kind of reopened themselves, decentralized a lot of the work. Ubisoft did that. Ubisoft has Genelex all over the place for their immersive audio, tons of studios and tons of things. Then there's a lot of engineers that I know that have been making video game soundtracks whose demographics target, if you know, is mostly headphones, right? You want to have your headset, you play with your friends, you want to talk, use headphones, you don't want to bother your family, siblings, whatever. However, most of the professional music and soundtracks that are made for video games, which is again an audience that is going to use headphones, believe it or not, are made on speakers. Part of that is that the studios have speakers. The engineers are old, they know speakers better maybe than just leaving off headphones. So it's not just headphones are worse. It's just there's trends and there's habits, right? However, the situation is kind of looking to me as if it's going back to having more speakers. So I have colleagues who have been mixing at home, with whom I've had a lot of files that went and gone, and they are looking to have a kind of a monitoring system that we all kind of share. Okay, we work pretty much for the same sourcing, whether it's Netflix oriented or it's Amazon Studios and that stuff. We try and pitch music for everything, commercials, shorts and stuff, and we want to build some sort of unified system. But the problem is we don't want to have it overly expensive. So right now, I am the one with the best room. When they were in Milano and they were working and they had stuff they were doing for Ubisoft as well, they had rooms that they had been working in. And when I joined them, those two were actually the reference rooms in which they already had stuff that they were mixing. So what we did is I was making stuff and sending it to them, and they had their room. When they decommissioned those rooms and turned them into offices, basically, or like private rooms or whatever, SFX stuff for video, VFX and things, then they basically went home and built they already had them. They started using their homes, like some rooms at home, mainly for making music and producing them. So now, fast forward to end of 2024, we started talking and saying like, okay, we should really, part because it's better for them, it's more fun. We were talking about like, okay, how do we kind of build a system with loudspeakers and things? And they were like, if we do this project, we're embarking on a couple new projects. They said, would you be able, Alberto, if we send you the stuff, to be the one room that kind of gives everything a common touch, okay? This is very important when you work with people from all over the world, or maybe scattered around an area, but you have different rooms. How do you do it? How do you do it? Well, you have to have some sort of unified system. People that work in video games, they love to have the facts down and saying, we're reducing, they're mostly very technical engineers, you know, and they were kind of, well, there's artists, of course, but they want to know that there's a unified system. How do you do it? Because if you don't have a room we all meet in and we do a mix together, which is never gonna happen, there's no budgets for it, everybody's room's gonna sound different. So what matters is that you decide who is gonna take the whole corpus of the thing and say, okay, he did it in Sweden, he did it in Milano, he did it in near Munich. This one sounds bright, this one sounds dark, this one sounds MIDI, this one doesn't have enough bass, this one's too loud, this one's too quiet, this one's too dynamic, you know? How do you do it? Well, first, you gotta decide one guy, one room, he's the one who's gonna do it. Can be the best guy you have, can be the one that has the most time available. You gotta do it that way. So we're looking at the fact that I will do it. Will I have time to do it? I don't know. But this is probably like second half of the year, right? If we pull these off. So we're looking at, you know, options. And I kind of had the idea of saying, well, okay, you know my situation here in terms of monitoring, right? I have a pair of ProAx SM100 that I pretty much, since I've moved here in this new room, never used. Because they're near fields and I don't use near fields in here. The room is really big. I kind of like to use bigger speakers. And my bigger speakers are the B&Ws, the 802Ns, right? So these 802Ns, I love them. I've been using them for a long time. I've mastered stuff on it. I've mixed stuff on it. Usually before it was more of a final check thing. Now I've been using them pretty much all the time. I'm really happy. I love how they sound, but I will probably not feel very comfortable to have this system as a mean to say, this is where your stuff is ending too. And by all means, I love those speakers, okay? These are from 1984, 1986, I think, something like that. And they sound absolutely phenomenal. It's just a style of sound stage, of bubble, of audio that I love. But it's not giving me the safety of saying we have a picture that is looking kind of standardized to what the studios have, right? What does this mean? That if I were to be extremely famous, or, you know, a celebrity of sorts, we could say, to heck with that, this is how I do it, this is how I like it, this is how it's getting done. But I am getting references from my team to say like, look, for this project, this would be something we would be looking at. This is something we've done 3 years ago. It didn't work. We have stuff that we're redoing. How about we give it this sound? Okay. So everything I'm listening through, listening for and from and to is made in studios. It's very modern. It's very commercial. It's very like, you know, modern stuff. And to have a sort of a hi-fi floor standard system doesn't give me the safety of saying, this is all I need. Okay. So for this reason, I've been looking at different solutions, and luckily I'm a good friend with Adam Audio, and I say, or Adam, whatever you want to call it. How are we going to call them? Or you say Adam, number one, or you say Adam? I know people that say Adam, because otherwise I would have not said it. I'm going to throw these questions. You say Adam, or you say Adam? I guarantee you there's Adam as well. You say one. You say, Martin said, I say Adam. You have to say one or two. One is Adam and two is Adam. You say Adam. I think we all say Adam. So, but there's people out there that say Adam. And it's like, they don't kind of connected to the name or whatever. I don't even know the acronym of it. I've never known it. For whatever reason, we gotta investigate. So I'm good friend with Adam Audio, and I asked them, we talked about it, and I said, look, I have an idea. We are going to do, this is a great moment. I explained everything I just told you. And I said, my colleagues and friends need speakers, and I need speakers. So how about we do these and we document everything that we're doing, okay? We're gonna document the arrival of the speakers, the installation, the features, very easily as if you were here. We're gonna do events in the pattern that you can watch afterwards. Obviously, they don't need to be live, in which we say, okay, that's the speaker, that's what it does, that's the specifications. So what I am looking for is to have two systems of two pairs to add on what I have. I want to have a mains system, something that is really big and really powerful. So I'm looking at probably the Polito configurations. So it's like 2 drivers, tweeters, so 3 ways, something like that. And also a normal near field system. We were talking about prices before, right? Like cost-effective implementation of things. Now, there's many companies out there, and this is not just valid for Adam Audio, but if you look at how much a pair of speakers costs today, you're gonna be like, what? There's always the 10, 15, 20, 40. There's tons of those, that are super expensive. However, there's like, if you look at what Adam Audio has in the A range, which is they have a T, they have an A, and they have an S. Okay, these are the 3 categories in which Adam Audio has their stuff. So sort of like the entry level, more kind of versatile kind of thing is the T series, Tango series. Then there's the A as in Alpha, which is not the intermediate because we're already into the good stuff. But then there's the S, Sierra kind of thing, which is the high end, okay? And these are all, if you look at the A7s, which are like a de facto standard in 2-way near field, they're completely inexpensive. You look at the price for a pair and you go like, why have I lived in the previous era of things where it's like hundreds of thousands dropped over the course of years to build a complete system of a studio, and now you can do it for peanuts? Well, the answer could be, well, but it sounds like crap today, and the good stuff was made before. Well, I guarantee you that's not the case. That was the case probably up until a lot of company trends into the 2010, okay, at most, okay? Then it started bending, and people were like, whoa, no, we gotta make it good, because the people know. And you know why they know? Social media. You know why they know? Influencers. It's really risky to have something that is not expensive but sounds like crap be thrown out in the wild of YouTube and have somebody with a pedigree, don't mind me, take somebody who's really high there in the ranks, say, this sounds bad. You're done. You're not just done for that product, you're done for the entire line, because people don't have time to say, well, these products might be bad, but the other one's good. They go like, all right, RIP, go. We change brand, This has happened a lot to a lot of speaker companies, especially because we're just outputting stuff. And today we have a lot of brands. I mean, I could name many. There's Adam, there's PMC, there's Focal, there's also, I mean, even there's Eve Audio for sure, which is also Berlin based, and I've listened to it. I've worked with some of their speakers. They're unbelievable for what they offer. It's like, well, how can you do that? It's like this, but technology isn't really, it has advanced, but it's more about they're really putting time down. This is my personal opinion again. I don't believe that there's really a technological advancement that has made it possible for things to be inexpensive and good. I don't believe that. I believe that they're actually spending time now to do R&D because they know people will say bad stuff, they won't sell, nobody makes you do any kind of money out of products you've spent time on. So, this is kind of it's unbelievable. I'm saying good stuff about social media and the internet culture. Can you believe that? It's actually not the influencers, it's those few trustworthy people that say, I didn't really gel with that. Boom, you're done. So there's tons of competition, tons of good products, and they're not expensive. So what I would like, you're not on the same boat. Yeah. So what I would like to do is this. I would like, same deal on social media. I think we agree on what. I think everybody here pretty much agrees with one another, But I cannot believe that there's in everything there's bad and good, right? So sadly and luckily, also in these there's some truth. You can't really do advertisement out of flyers and PDFs or booklets as you would do in the end of the 80s, But also development wasn't there, right? People were doing stuff. The ones who were doing stuff were good. The other ones would not develop stuff. Then there's been a rush to make home prosumer stuff. And now we've filtered out a lot of the bad stuff, of the junk, and there's a lot of good products. Be it synthesizers, be it MIDI keyboards, be it even audio hardware, audio cards, that stuff. And also for speakers. So I think the time is right, and Adam Audio has agreed with me to do it. So we're trying to find these two pairs. Because what I want to do is I want to follow up, not just on the installation, not just on the sound, on things and talking about it. I want to do a follow-up on the Calibrate Your Studio Monitors Masterclass. You remember, I have it, some of you watched it. I don't know if you in here watch it. I know Mike has many times. It's nausea out of it. Because it's oh God, I cannot. It dreams of that video series in which I talk about studio monitors. You place them in your room. You've done all you can in terms of acoustic work. And then you say, okay, it sounds good. It sounds what it sounds like. But how do I know it's sounding the best for my room? And in that masterclass, we take REW, we take rephase, and we go through the methods I've learned to do it, which do not use EQ curves from the get-go. They use IRs, and then we drive it into linear phase or not. We kind of reassess the phase relationship of the various IRs that we've done, so on and so forth. I want to do a follow-up on studio speakers, okay? Because what I would like to build is a more comprehensive, updated 2025 version of saying, okay, in the first episode, in the first season, we understood what it takes to do the measurements, to do these stuff, so on and so forth. Now, I want to really take it to the near field monitors versus the big guys, the mains, okay? So sort of like the professional final studio in which you're gonna do stuff, you're gonna finalize it, versus your home production system. These two scenarios, these two environments are never gonna cease to exist. They're gonna live on forever. The professional final place, whether it's a mastering studio, whether it's a video game company studio, the place that is official, okay? That's never gonna go away. And the other one is your place, our place, the rooms in which you make the music. And I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, if you believe that one of the two is inferior to the other, you, my friend, are wrong. Because without this, I know you're thinking that the one with the near fields is inferior. Well, I'm telling you this, without the place where people make the actual music, the professional studio is doing what? Recording? Oh, really? We're gonna talk about that in a bit. Really? Oh, so people, you're telling me, go to recording studios to record their music because there is no other way to do music production in the world right now in 2025? Well, I don't know where you live. I know you don't think that, So you will never be able, unless you, even if you're a super professional, you'll never be able to create in a professional studio of some company the same way you do it in your production rooms. at home maybe, or in the place where you want to make your music, because of the vibe, man. It's so different. It vibes completely different. You can't come to a professional studio and say, well, I'm gonna just sit here paying $275 an hour and just let's see, maybe I got an idea. No pressure. Maybe, I don't know, I'll try and play something, and you just noodle on your synthesizers, or maybe on somebody else's synthesizers. And you go like, well, I'll stay here a couple hours. That is what? $525, and see what happens. If I vibe with it, that's never gonna happen. You're gonna have your butt cheeks so tight once you get into a professional studio that no musical idea will ever drop out of your mouth. Trust me. I mean, I know you know that, right? If you're coming to a studio because you have a session, that's a different story. Now there's somebody hiring you. Now there's different things happening. Now you know what you're gonna play. That's a job mostly. That's not really being inspired to create. Sometimes you have to, but that's not always the case. So what I wanna create is a new masterclass in which I create a dialogue between the main speakers, the big guys, and the near fields. Because again, I guarantee you that most of the mixing, most of the creation of the music, but again, most of the mixing as well by professionals is done on near fields today. And if you take Japan and you consider what the average loudspeaker size is in Japan, you'll find that a 6.5 driver or even a 7-inch is too big. There's no room in average Japan to run production rooms or creative rooms with 7-inch speakers. They're too big, So 5 is kind of the optimal, for example, and 3 is small. But today, when we do 3 in Europe, it's like, wow, that's a really tiny speaker, In the US, it's gotta be, I don't know, maybe an 8-inch, whatever, I don't know. Oh, well, there's a lot of near fields as well, but it's generally 6 to 7 inches. That's just like, all right, that's a speaker, right? That's a normal size. Below that is small, above that is big. But that's not true. It depends on cultural and, just social standards. The average living real estate quarters size in Japan makes it so that a 5-inch is kind of the right size. It's pretty much what it is. So for companies to say, well, you want a studio? Put these huge mains in it. It's like, I have no room for it. Nobody's going to buy them. So I want to create a dialogue, and I want to create correction curves. I want to create analysis things that show you that the dialogue between a near field pair and mains is absolutely 100% possible. So I want to cover up on that, and I want to do it. And this is pretty much the big piece of news. As I told you, there's students, there's you in Patreon, and there's colleagues of mine that are all colliding positively into, we need speakers. We want speakers. I don't want to say we just need speakers. It's that people say, I want to feel good. Headphones, okay, I'm having fun with headphones, but I want to have speakers kind of fun. I want air that is moving. So I'm taking this chance, and this will be big because I'm thinking it will generate a lot of content, and it will go where a lot of people haven't gone so far, because I've seen what is available on YouTube and around. I don't really think it's been really covered, this topic. There's a lot of reviews. There's people sitting in beautiful control rooms and they say, oh yes, I love these speakers. There's such testimonials. These are not educational. These are not building stuff. So we're going to do it, and I want to build it from having mains from Atom, and then I want to have near fields from Atom, and I want to show you that there's a lineage. In Munich, a couple weeks ago, maybe even less, I've listened to the A77s. Look them up. These are these guys here. See products, these 77H. And these speakers are horizontal bass, front ported, 3 ways. And man, this, I was like, all right, what is this? Like barber shop kind of thing. I was kind of getting my hair, in like kind of, molded and blended. I was like, this is good, And I've listened to music of mine which sounded really good, which kind of made me happy as well. So that's probably how I got sold on it. No, but what these speakers have is that they have, first off, Adam. Oh, let me see what Mark says. I tested Adam, but found them a bit too much hyped in the mids and highs. Well, Adams are brutal, meaning we're talking. I told you about hi-fi systems, right? Like the Bowers, the 802s, and to me are brutal as well. In the hi-fi scenario, you're not expecting them to be, but they're euphonic up to a certain range, and then they kind of highlight stuff that's like, oh crap, it sounds bad, gotta fix it. Now, Adam were in studio monitors 100%. This is a company that still believes that you're getting their speakers because you want like other companies, absolute certainty that you have a responsiveness, that you have a spectrum, that you have stuff that communicates to you how things work. So they are hard speakers, meaning that these things are giving you a scenario to mix. They're not flattering. They're very precise as well. They're among I wouldn't say they're cold speakers, but they're studio monitors. In the last years, and you prefer the sound of Focal Alpha. I've been pretty up for the alphas as well. Maybe not. I was chief beta tester at Focal for everything they've done, from the Alpha series to the shapes, to the trios, to the 11s. So they were called SM10s at the time, then they changed the name, and I've had all of those speakers. So if you're talking to me about Focals, I know that. I've had twins, I had trios, I had shapes of all sorts, minus the small ones that I didn't keep, but I had the Napolito configs. I know Focal very well. What Focal has is it's a very musical, euphonic auto-tune. They work really well. And again, they prove what I've said. Look at the price of the shapes, which I would say, or the solos. Are they expensive? They're not expensive, And are they good? Boy, are they good. They are good. They work pretty well, You can, it's pretty much where it's at. A lot. I think James still has, and he's super happy I suggested them to him. The Focals, the 65s. The shapes with the passive radiators and side. So there's plenty of solutions. There's plenty of systems that work. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do it with Adam, that's also a brand I like, and we're also gonna do it within their catalog. So obviously you can take Focal Alpha 65s, take the S5Hs by Adam, and say like, I want to build a dialogue between these, But obviously within the same brand, I don't even have to explain to you, it's really, really easy. Now, the thing about the Adams, for example, the A series, is that they have a built-in correction system that is coupled with SonarWorks Sound ID, with whom I'm also super good friend with. They're an amazingly friendly company. I don't know if you've ever had to talk with the people at Sound ID. They're fast in replying. They're really kind, really good. And I've used Sound ID for headphones for a long time. I actually, with the same people I've talked until now, these people gave us a system that allowed us to use barrier dynamic headphones, and knowing that we were compensating them in Sound ID. And that's how I've worked with them in 2020, 2021, probably 2 solid years. Okay. And Mike used to beta for SonarWorks, great people. I mean, we have confirmation in chat. So Sound ID, I still prefer, and they know it, I still prefer my way of doing calibration for studio monitors. That's the one I teach in the masterclass that I've learned from people who've done tons of acoustic work, and that's how I do it. For headphones, I've still used Sound ID. When I work with these people, I have it installed, it works. But the Adam A series has DSP that couples with SonarWorks Sound ID. So what they do is that you can load the profile in the speakers, and this is completely system-wide because the speaker has it, not your computer. So that's an advantage. On top of these, they have, as you can see here, they have the A control that gives you control over the typical curves to offset your system. So what I want to do in the new content that we're gonna follow up with on Patreon as well is that I want to take my system and do calibration for it, see where we are, and we're gonna use the calibration microphone to see how it sounds in my room. So I know you're not in my room, but you'll be able to see what it looks like from the corrected measurements, and we're gonna assess what is happening and we're gonna compare it with Sound ID. I'm gonna have it all on video while I'm doing these. I have more cameras now that I can use to shoot at. So it will be just like if you were here. This is how I like to do it, I've been doing these not on Atom, but on my own systems for other people here near Munich, in other people in Milano as well, in remote. I've been doing this with Mike now for a week or so. So Mike knows, can I can't say about that. That's horrible. No, I mean, we've been working on what's the room doing? How does it sound in that sweet spot? Can you give me another measurement? Unfortunately, I'm not in his room, so I can't give him advice on really how I feel, in terms of sound. But I'm following people remotely or physically. I have friends with home theaters. I've done one maybe a month ago. I got a free dinner with him and his family, really wonderful people. And I just spent some time tweaking his room. So I know my way, I know it works. I want to see what the A control does, because the one thing my way doesn't do is fast. You need to know what you're doing. You need to be wary of a lot of variables. It's not automated. So Sound ID is just, you get the wizard, you follow what it says, and it does an excellent job at adjusting your room. Now, what you can do is not go 100%. Maybe you can go 30%, 20%. I think I had it set for about 20-ish%. And that was how I wanted it, okay? But on the other way, if you do it my way, I still believe it sounds better with free software. But I'm still using the Sound ID microphone, which I would recommend you get because it's better than other microphones. So Martin says, you had Sound ID, but you didn't like mixing on flat dead sounding headphones. Well, you don't need to go 100%. I wouldn't go 100% on it, but I guarantee you one thing. I've done it on the Bayer Dynamics on the 880s, 100% corrected, because these mad people that I was working with, still working with, they were like, I don't know, we do it 100%, it's better, And I was like, I don't like it. It's completely dead. We're talking about a headphone that needs to kind of be itself, right? You can't really bring everything to the common saturation level. It's still an artistic photo, right? And they were like, no, 100%. So I can guarantee you that I've worked with headphones on Sound ID, the 880 Pros. I have two pairs here. And they're headphones that Valeria likes as well, guaranteed. So it's kind of rare because she hates most headphones. So, and I've made stuff that I've checked on real studio stuff and on my own. I guarantee you, Sound ID delivers. If you learn it, it's painful because working in 100% correction to me is not what I would like to do, but your brain will adapt. If you have the chops, there's no excuse. If the mix sounds bad and you blame it on Sound ID, it's not valid. It's you. It's not the app. So it functions as a system, but I still believe that I have better control over what I do with impulse responses, and also kind of maybe linearizing phase response, but it's longer than Sound ID for sure. So I want to cover that as well. I want to cover the two things. I want to talk about how I'm doing it, what I like about it, what I'm hearing. It could be that Sound ID in the A control completely kicks my back, and I say like, wow, this sounds better. Maybe there's some things that sound better, other things that don't sound better. I hope, I envision, I'm kind of confident my method's better, but we're gonna see. On top of that, however, do not underestimate the fact that the EQ curves that you see here in this screenshot here, they are not to be abandoned. I'm not using EQ curves because I have an IR response that Alberto made for me. No. You are still going to offset to your liking the speakers, given some module settings. But you're gonna do it once the IR is correcting the main aspect of your system. Okay. So Martin says, you bought the IK MTM because I can calibrate the speakers with the included microphone. It saves the correction within the speakers. No need for software, which I preferred. Exactly same thing as Adam's doing. Your DSP is regulating the correction, so you don't have to worry about having the system on or off. You forget it, you don't remember, you print it through it, it's in the speakers, go, forget it, right? So you can hire me as well to come over to the Netherlands. Well, that's closer than Orlando, for sure, you know, that's for sure. Yeah, hire me. I want to visit. You're near Utrecht, right? I don't remember exactly where you are, but it's okay. You know, hire me. Do it. Do it. So you had, I think, 2 different Bear Dynamics headphones. 2 colored was like heaven on my head with great cushions. Wow. You say 2 Bear. So saying these about Bear Dynamic headphones, you're probably the only one. Oh, you're in Heidenberg. Okay, near Arnhem. I've never been there. Okay. You live near Utrecht. That's why I remember that. Okay, so it's a deal. Hire me. I'm extremely expensive, but it would be a pleasure to do it. And I can give you recipes as well. So that comes with a trade-off. But you found Bear Dynamic headphones colored, or like you said 2 colored. That's you. I don't know. Like Bear Dynamics to me are like a piece of aluminum that you use to whatever. You know, they're like very dry and unemotional. Also vegan options. Yeah, for sure. I do have. Valeria does have. We do have recipes for vegan. Don't worry about that. They do have huge deep somewhere. That's true as well. They do have some areas in which, but for example, I don't like the 770s and I don't like the 990s. If I had to choose, I would go with the 990s, but they overhype the highs a lot. Not because they hype the highs, but because they miss lows, in my opinion. But a lot of friends that I have that work in classical in Switzerland as well, they love the 990s. They become a standard. And when there's bass in the orchestral stuff, but we're talking classical, they can feel how good that is or not, even if it's light. So they're not really missing bass. It's just a different perspective because it's open back. But I like the 880s Pro the most. And again, they're not flat for sure, but they're kind of dry, and I've worked with them. I know I can do mixes on them all day long, although I don't like to do it, you know. So, and you need to like to do it, otherwise. The 990s are open backs, 880 are mid, and 770 are closed backs. And I don't like the 770s, nor do I like the 990s as much as the 880s. But if I had to really pick an alternative, maybe I'll use the 990s. But I wouldn't, because they're kind of very light to me, and I don't know. I really like the 880s, but as a solution, but not as an enjoyable kind of thing. So, yeah. Well, they definitely kind of feel them. If you have bass heavy stuff, it's kind of hard to gauge how strong it will feel transient wise. Yeah. And it makes you do wrong choices, I understand. But for classical, for example, these people, they kind of have it as a standard. They all have 990s, you know, and they would come to Berlin with my studio with 990s, like, can I check in on my headphones? And I was like, okay, I have 880s. And they were like, oh, I have 990s. All right. And I would change. I was like, holy crap, like, where's bass? And we're like, oh, it's there. You know, they had in their brain, obviously, how much was too much. So they are a system that works. It's just that you need to get used to them. But for very heavy bass oriented, like you do industrial stuff, you want things that punch, I would move towards the 880s Pro. The 250 ohms versions, they're really easy to drive still, but they have good impedance and stuff, so they work. So we'll see how these goes with Adam. I'm thinking S5H as mains, and I'm thinking A7V for near fields. All right, so very big leap between the two, but a common dialogue. We're gonna get a vibe for how it is, and I know how these are built, but I gotta be honest with you. For example, I had never heard the 77s horizontal, and I was like, all right, this is tempting. And if you look at the price for these two, what? It's like like no-brainer. Like they're, I don't know, let's not even go there because I'm not doing shops or that stuff here. I don't want to do it. So but the A7Vs, you're gonna fit them everywhere. So absolutely. So I think these would represent the best of the near fields and the total jump to mains. Now, if I have time with Adam to do it, what I would like to do is really keep the mains and do other comparisons with the 77s, with the 8V, for example, or the 8H, sorry, or the 5 verticals. So take the mains as a reference and move to different in-between situations, because I know that a lot of people have issues understanding which model's nice to use. And I'm gonna use these not as a marketing factor for Adam. Of course I'm gonna use their endorsement, but we're gonna use it to understand, like, why do you need a speaker? When do you need that speaker? Is it really fundamental? How can you get the impression of a main speaker at near field, and can you really cheat physics or not? All that stuff, we want to learn, because when we learn stuff, we can take it everywhere. So that's good. All right, so everybody go to dinner, have fun, make love to your loved ones, remember to hug your pets, and then play synthesizers. Drift away when you can into the beautiful things that music has allowed us to do. I'm here if you have doubts, questions. To all the brands and people who are marketing, sales, A&R people, I cannot express my gratitude enough, and I want to do it here because I know maybe not now, but in some days somebody will watch it. It's such a pleasure. I love working with you. Thank you very much for giving your products to me, and that I can butcher them if I don't like them. So that's kudos to you, because it means you know what you have and you're solid, which I agree on. Otherwise we won't be working together. Thank you very much. Have a great Wednesday evening. I'll say hi to Valeria. Maybe next time I'll have her here to say hi. Next Wednesday. If she's watching this, she's already super scared. And that's it. Take care. See you soon anyway. People, it was a pleasure as usual. I'm gonna go reach the end of the stream. Thank you. Ciao.